Respetable público, lucharán 2 de 3 caídas sin límite de tiempo. En esta esquina, el Santo y Cavernario. Y en esta otra, Blue Demon y el Pulpo.
Wrestling, Lucha Libre, Pro Wrestling. The spectacle of watching a combat performance that not only elevates the emotions and entertains, but that overall tells a story is what all these terms refer to. But one in particular has evolved to become a cultural phenomenon in Mexico, so much so that it is considered an intangible cultural heritage of the place. Lucha Libre, free fighting, its literal translation, is a performance art/form of entertainment originated in Mexico that evolved from the traditional American wrestling acts of the early 1900s. Similar to its American counterpart professional wrestling and its Japanese one, pro wrestling, it consists of stage combats for which a winner is crowned at the end, and where in each match, a clear distinction between a hero, or técnico, and a villain, or rudo, is made. This performance art has evolved with the pass of time, and even has expanded across the globe, influencing people's perception of what these sort of performances represent. For many people, they may seem silly or contrived, but there is an inherent element of culture and identity within them. With my research, I wish to explore these cultural elements and describe how the public's perception of Mexican culture has been shaped by Lucha Libre, especially outside of the country. The research will also aim to explain how this sports entertainment practice is tightly related to the Mexican identity and the values that its people share. Finally, it will serve as a form of thick description between me, the researcher, and the subjects at hand, the wrestlers and audiences, to insightfully chronicle the current landscape of these performance art outside of the country, and how it affects the sense of identity for all the participants. The participants of this research will be first the wrestlers that practice the sport, but specifically the ones that follow the practices and customs that entail Lucha Libre, such as the use of masks, the use of aerial combat, the use of colorful costumes, specific styles of moves, etc. And it will favor the experience of performance of Mexican descent. Secondly, it will focus on the spectators, the audience members, and the fanatics who watch and interact with these sort of performances, and whose background could vary in lots of different ways. Thirdly, in regards to the ethnographic elements of the research, the researcher itself will become a participant in this research, giving his unique perspective to the experiences happening. The main research practice that will be utilized would be field notes as well as informal interviewing with the participants. All of these would be compiled into an autoethnographic journal and report that would compile and summarize the insight learned. The use of content analysis and other unintrusive research practices might also help to build the cultural context needed to understand the significance of these experiences. Questions that would be explored in the research would be: how does Mexican professional wrestling, or Lucha Libre, has affected the perception of foreigners of Mexico and Mexican people? Has Lucha Libre positively represented Mexican culture and the value of its people? Are there other forms of professional wrestling that carry a cultural background as deep as Lucha Libre? What is the perception of wrestlers of Lucha Libre and its cultural value? And what are the reasons for audiences to connect and identify with the characters of this performance art? This performance art has a niche audience that has, in the past, not been explored in depth, and that in lots of ways has been kept underrepresented in the cultural landscape of not only Mexico, but the world. Therefore, I believe that the value that this sort of research has is immense, as it is commonplace to underestimate the cultural relevance that this type of performances have, and a gap in the research exists on the international scope that these practices have to the construction of the Mexican identity, especially from the perspective of a self-identifying individual to this culture, such as myself. Gracias.